Math is beautiful. Math is beautiful, and it's almost like it's a secret club.
What's going on, everyone? This is episode 5, BlackTee number 5 on BlackTees in engineering, and you will never believe who I have here today. Never. I have Krista Bresock, aka my Calc 2 teacher. One of them. Let's make that clear. One of my Calc 2 teachers, because I think I took it 3 times.
I
4
think I
maybe.
was number 2. I
think she was number 2. And I don't think I've ever said how many times I took Calc 2, but it's 3 or 4. So be easy on me out here. So Krista, I know you're my teacher, but I don't know exactly where you are. Like, are you pursuing a master's, a PhD? Like, I don't know how it works.
So my title is instructor because I work full time. I teach full time, but on the side, I'm also trying to work on my PhD. So I'm a full-time instructor, part-time grad student, and I'm almost what you would call ABD. So that's all but dissertation. So it's like the home stretch. That's where I'm at.
Everything but that last piece, which is probably a big piece.
Which is like the biggest, only the biggest piece of all of it is what I have left to do.
Okay, so. I understand that. That's fair. So on this podcast, we ask a few questions right off the bat to get things going. And my first question is going to be, are you a coffee or tea person?
I'm a tea person. So that's
what I have. Tea.
In fact, look at this. It says, I don't know if says coffee is not my cup of tea.
Coffee is not my cup of tea.
Right, so.
That is funny because I said, I can't do it now, but I said last podcast that I would kick the next person off, whoever said they like tea. But I can't do it now. This is too important. I can't do this now. That's funny. And then I'm not sure if have you played Mario Kart? Like Nintendo 64, anything like that?
No. Very, very minimal.
So you don't have a favorite character then?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I know.
What?
I'm supposed to be a good nerd.
Oh,
It's not the quality of a good nerd is to have favorite video game characters.
No, it's okay. You're a different kind of nerd.
I'm a different flavor.
You're a different flavor nerd. Yes. That's okay. So let's go on to another one then. Do you have any type of favorite video game or TV show?
Oh, I have lots of favorite TV shows.
Name your number one right now.
Right now, my number one is called Peaky Blinders.
I've never heard of it.
It's on Netflix. It has Cillian Murphy and lots of other very attractive dudes that look sort of like women. It's set in the Irish. I don't know. It's about gangsters.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I'll have to look it up. Maybe it's not my flavor though. We'll see. So my first question here, and it might come on strong, is: do you feel like a superhero?
Honestly, I sometimes do. I do sometimes.
I was hoping you would. It feels that way, yeah.
Well, because I feel like my specialty is such a small pocket of specialty that a lot of people are afraid of. And
what is your specialty?
So it's math. Math is my specialty.
Okay, math is your specialty.
Yeah, so I would say in all of the areas of my life where I feel like a superhero, that's where I feel like a superhero, in front of the classroom.
In doing math or teaching math? In my mind, they're like big distances apart.
I would have to say I wear my cape when I'm teaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You feel comfortable up there in front?
It's my most comfortable spot. Yes.
Okay, that's good. It comes off that way, but I was just making sure because I know some teachers I have in other classes, they're only here for research and that's about it. They do their research and they're like, listen, whatever happens to you, you're on your own. They just meet minimum requirements.
Yeah, we have. I would have to say that every department has that, but we have some few here, and I don't fit into that.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. No, it's no big deal if they do. Research is cool too.
Yeah.
I could see myself doing something like that, but not really. But but it is what it is. So a saying that I hear a lot from my math teachers, like always first semester. I think you may have said it. You may have said something much cooler actually. But one thing probably. But one thing that I hear a lot is math is the language of the natural world.
Yes.
You care to talk about that at all? Because I kind of understood it at first, but I don't think I truly understood it until someone brought in some material and I was looking over it.
So what people do with the information that the physical world gives us is they turn it into mathematical equations, because people that speak all languages understand math the same way. So that makes it the universal language. Because the Swedish person that looks at my mathematical equation, the Japanese person that looks at my mathematical equation, are all going to understand it in the same way that I do.
Okay, so there's it's not the language barrier anymore. Like the Korean guy, the Japanese guy, the English guy, all on the same level.
Yeah,
What about,
comes to math.
I think I saw a packet one time one of the 4 math teachers that I've had in Calc 2 have gave us a packet on the real natural world as well, like trees and like how, I forget, integrals or derivatives or something relate to the patterns. You know what I mean? It creates those patterns that develop into trees and stuff. So I guess it's like literal natural world and philosophical natural world.
Well, so if you have a question about the physical world, what you do is you take measurements of that thing, whatever it is, and then you transform those measurements into mathematical equations, which you can then analyze.
Okay, models and everything like that.
Yes, mathematical modeling, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. And then, so in this whole quest for math philosophy and understanding and the natural world and everything going on, just for those guys who don't know, there's always debates in colleges where it goes, math is the best, and the physics guy goes, physics is the best, and the engineer goes, no, engineering's the best. But the reality is that it was all built on the principles of mathematics. Like, that's where it kind of originates. So the math guy kind of is like, we stand tall out here.
Yeah, I feel like there's no question that all of the scientific knowledge is sitting firmly on the foundation of mathematics. I feel like that's not.
Do you have a favorite math formula or math philosopher, anything like that? Because I know some are biased, some don't care. It's not a big deal.
I have a favorite math field, and that's calculus. Like that's.
Oh, okay. Just the field in general, just calculus 1 through 3. Like you like all of them?
So all of it, right?
Okay.
So I've taught Calc 1 and 2 and 3 and differential equations, all of those, and they're just it's the way that calculus works is just so beautiful.
It's beautiful. I think that's what you said. This is what captured my attention. I think that's what you said on the first day of class, and I think I went from like sketching in my notebook or like looking at my phone, and I just kind of like glanced up for a second, like what was just said.
Math is beautiful. Math is beautiful, and it's almost like it's a secret club. Like the people that understand that statement, it's like there are some that understand that statement, and then when you say that to a student, their haunches go up and they go, it's awful. It's awful. It's terrible. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? So,
no, I completely understand. I promise you I understand.
Math beautiful. I got a D in it.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. On top of the question of math being about the natural world, what about communicating that language to students? Because some people who learn math incredibly easily, right, could be the worst teachers if they're bad at just being patient and like communicating or don't know how to put it exactly the right way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How do you overcome that barrier?
So I think that I have a very high level of social capability.
Okay,
right?
that's good.
I can talk to people and I can connect with people on a very intimate level, which allows me to teach math that much better.
That confuses me though, because you're saying like, oh, you feel like you're very sociable, you can connect intimately, but that kind of is on the opposite side of the spectrum of where most math people fall into. Because okay, maybe I shouldn't stereotype in that way. Yeah. I'm stereotyping in the way that I say not to, but I'm saying that because a lot of people who are super into more, I should say, just technical fields, if that's right. But in my mind, they were the people who weren't always the one out there outgoing. But now I think about it, there were some, right? But maybe I'm stereotyping. But what do you think about that? Do you think it's normal or not normal, or do you think that you're like an outlier here normally?
I think that every different person has their way of dealing with situations, right? So something that's been important to me in my life is connecting with people. So I've put a lot of emphasis on that, and it's something that I'm good at, and I'm also good at math.
Okay.
So I feel like that is one of my special qualities that allows me to be a really good teacher, because I'm good at math and I have this ability to interact socially that helps me communicate to students.
Okay, that's interesting. I think that, so let me give you my perspective on like first day of class in your class.
Okay.
We all walked into class and sat down. We're kind of waiting on the teacher. I think most of the people were in the classroom. And then you walk in, and I don't know if anyone was sure if you were the professor or not. I don't even think it went through a lot of people's minds, kind of honestly, right? So you just walked in, and I'm not sure what it was. I think it was like, not your demeanor. I think it was like, I think people are caught off guard if they see something that's outside of that pool of what they're used to seeing. Like the stereotype thing that I was just saying, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think, so for example, on you, like I see tattoos, I see like the hair, I see like the glasses, I see like the way you are, the way you're moving, and I think my first thought isn't math teacher.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I get, are you an artist? Are you an art major?
That was all. That I wasn't even thinking of you at the time when you walked into the room. But if I was to guess, I mean, right? Like,
well, my exterior displays a different stereotype than what I am and what I do.
yeah, than what most people would characterize as like the math teacher, the traditional math teacher, right?
Yep.
And honestly, I think that alone, like the appearance thing, you can disagree with me. I think that aided the process so much at first. Like when you go to like the breaking the ice period, right? A teacher stands up in front of the classroom and like, all right, what kind of teacher is this? And you're seeing the teacher for the first time and all these things go through people's head. It was almost like it was disarming. Like you said how like you feel like you can relate to people when you're sociable and this and that. I feel like it just doubles the impact now, because not only are you relatable and you feel like you can talk to people when you can and you do and you relate, but on top of that, people see you and they're like, this person's like unique. They're showing character. They're not like hiding. You know what I mean? They're putting a piece of themselves out there. You're already doing that. I think that's huge.
I don't know if this is me tooting my own horn, but I feel like it's my secret quest to try to help people understand that anybody can do math, right? So when I walk in the room and I don't look like someone that would stereotypically be able to do math, and then I can do math, it makes them, I want it to make them go, oh, maybe I can do math too. I know that's a high quest to have, but it's almost like people that are different, you can't box them in like that.
No.
Because it's very limiting for me, you know. In fact, I would say I had a little bit of an uphill climb in my graduate studies because I looked a certain way.
So people were kind of throwing you that category, almost like what I did at the beginning of this. I was saying like that person probably isn't into math. You know what I mean? The person who's more social, more this, more that. So I guess they were doing that to you, and like they would probably, I'm sure professors would kind of like, I don't know, that's true, write people off early, maybe. Yeah, right, exactly. You walk into the classroom and you know it's just like, whether we want to or not, that could be the nicest professor in the world, but when someone walks in the door and they just look different than everyone else around them or in any way, shape, or form, it's just our human brain. Like it goes back to it, and we like something happened. You know what I mean?
Well, to be honest with you, I do that when I see students walk into my class. Right? I see what you walk in, and I go, "What's up with his hair?"
Yeah, like what is going on? What's he wearing? He sits in the back row, back corner. Oh,
yeah. He's got that hair. He's looking all cool, and so I do that. But the difference between doing that in a constructive way and doing that in a derogatory way is I know that I have open doors for you to prove me wrong or to prove me different. You know, it's like my brain automatically makes those distinctions. But I also have, my doors are like going like this, right? If you give me information that's against that, I take it in and I put that into my little bubble that's the Kyle bubble, right? So a lot of people don't do that. They see me and they go, she's an idiot or something. Yeah. She's a whatever.
She doesn't know anything in this area.
So that's fine. I don't care if you do that. That does not bother me if you do that. But if you do not then let me take actions that prove you wrong or proves you right or whatever, then that's where things get,
I like that. It's like what you said, open door policy almost. Like you have any opportunity to prove me wrong at any time, but like it's just our automatic first judgment.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Okay, I like that. So what about students who are like having trouble in class? So one of my things is I liked how you were like big into group work, right? Now, one of the feelings that I got when I was doing group work was if I didn't know what was going on because I didn't do my work the night before, I wasn't caught up with the class, I felt like I got behind in the group. I felt like, you know, someone as outgoing as me may just be like, oh, hey, like, can someone help me out? Like, I didn't do last night's. But, like, I think anyone else that doesn't fall into that category of kind of, like, real social and, like, can put it all out there, I think that particular person is going to be lagging behind more. And obviously on their fault, right? On their account. But, like, is there anything that you can, like, think of to aid that? Or, like, just in general, like, what do you do to help students that are struggling? I know you always do the open door policy, always, but... So,
with respect to the group work, no matter how I lead my class, there will be some students that it does not work for.
Top 20%, bottom 20%. Top 20%, they're going to get A no matter what. Right. They're passing the class. Bottom 20,
give
no
them
way.
A book and say study at home.
You give them the answers and something's going to go wrong.
Right. So the way, like, I'm a big believer in the way that you understand math is you talk about math, right? So I think that because my job is talking about math, I really, really understand it because I talk about it all the time. So if I force
it's like you're speaking the language all the time. It's like if you want to learn Chinese, you got to go to a Chinese country. You can't just sit over here and speak English all day long and expect to remember
speaking the language with someone who is also speaking the language.
Okay.
Right? So even though it's uncomfortable, and I know it's uncomfortable, I'm an introvert. Even though I don't seem like it. Believe me, my husband will tell you I'm the biggest introvert that exists.
Okay.
Talking to people can only help you, right? So if I'm lecturing all the time, you're not talking to people, you're not getting your hands dirty, you're just listening to me push information at your face, right? So if you're talking with other students about what you just learned, you're doing problems and you're thinking about your thought processes, which allows things to sink in deeper.
No, I like that. I think that the person who gets behind in class now, I think that they always revert to some online help eventually.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's a big thing that I haven't really figured out how to deal with yet, right? So technology has put kind of an interesting twist on education, right?
I'm interested in picking that apart a little more about what you just said though, because I'm like, for anyone who knows me, I'm a huge advocate for
I've watched your videos.
Online anything for Khan Academy, for Patrick JMT, shout out Patrick JMT for your YouTube channel. Anyone who's like providing any online free education or source stuff like that. And I think your verbiage just now, you just chose to say like deal with it. You know what I mean? As if it's like a barrier that you have to jump over, kind of.
So I feel like there are two aspects to it. I think it's super helpful for students to access these resources outside of class because it allows them to have like a second lecture, right? It's a lecture that they can pause and they can rewind and they can stop and think about. And that's totally awesome, right? The negative side to it is that the answer to every problem you could ever want is fully worked out on the internet. Right?
Okay.
So when I assign WebAssign problems, right? So WebAssign is the online homework system that we use. All you have to do is take the question, plug it into Wolfram Alpha, and there's your answer. Okay, which is fine, but it really limits it. It puts this false sense of security where a student goes, "Oh, I got all those right. I know what I'm doing."
Do you think there are more people cheating now than there were 20 years ago?
Oh gosh.
I feel like
I think there are new and inventive ways to cheat because of technology, and that was a big problem over the summer in the math department and the chemistry department. I don't know if you heard about that.
I didn't hear about it, but I can use my imagination.
Yep. It's just using technology to cheat in ways that we never thought that people would be able to.
So to give you guys a little bit of like context here, essentially what happens is people go into these tests, right? And they find ways to cheat or whatever. People always have throughout all of history, first of all. But people are getting more creative now. So like the Apple Watch is out, smartwatches, all this technology, even phones stuff, right? So people will go into a test. During the final, they'll take pictures of the test that's right in front of them, send them across the room to their friends, and they'll have all the answers. They give it to one smart kid, and I'm sure there's like money involved, or they're just buds or something. Something's going on.
Well, it's also they'll send the snapshot of their test to someone that's a third party out getting ready to work on their test for them, and then send them the answers.
Chegg, any of those third parties or tutors or whoever.
Yeah.
And I see how that's like a big problem. I understand that, and like obviously the system finds ways to combat it. I was in there, and one of the things where they were like kind of yelling, like everyone's phone to the front of the room, like all this. You know, you guys are trying to come up with new ways, and I understand it's difficult. I get that, but so like just to take a step back though, referencing like the homework assignment stuff, like WebAssign. In my opinion, like to me, maybe it's a slightly higher percentage now, but to me, it's like if you were, we're cheating now as a whole, as a student body, but I feel like almost the same amount of people probably cheated when there wasn't an internet. They're meeting up with all the people who have all the answers. Like, you know what I mean? Like technology, the medium is changing, but people's like how they're doing things is not, in a weird way. I mean, that's my thought process.
You have to be self-motivated to learn.
Self-motivated. That's the best way to put it.
If you're not self-motivated to learn, but you're motivated to get that grade no matter what, that motivation is going to be funneled into how can I get the grade without having to do the work. No, right? That's understandable. How much of it, okay, what do you think about this? So my big thing that I've always tried like telling the school, and they've listened, they've been very, actually big props to engineering school and like the school in general for even acknowledging me and like what I like think I have to say, I guess. But like they've actually had me and like said, okay, let's see what you can do and stuff. And I've failed on some fronts.
But the idea is like they were like interested in being like, yeah, so if you think you can record an online thing and actually make it work, you know what I mean, try it. So I think big props to them on that. But I think that's where it's going. Like I don't understand. I know you can't speak on too much of this, but I don't understand what these universities think that they're going to be able to do for the next. I know they're huge and they're good right now, but over the next like 30 years, 40 years, pushing 50 and stuff, it's kind of scary. Like with all this technology, like ready to come undermine it. Chegg, like what's keeping? You might not be able to answer this, but just for a thought piece, what's keeping some other place giving out industrial engineering degrees, right? And they're like, you just go get your core foundation classes taken care of somewhere and we'll teach you the IE stuff. You know what I mean? And that's a whole new thing now. It's kind of scary.
I don't know. Like, I guess I just think about it from the point of view as just me and my little teacher bubble. And it's so helpful in some ways, and it's so beautiful to see the three-dimensional solids, blah, 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 like the rotations. But then on the other side of it is students will use it for evil.
Yeah.
Right?
Good and evil. Always good and evil. Always good and evil. Okay, so a lot of underclassmen. I guess we're all underclassmen. I'm thinking specifically freshmen, sophomores, maybe juniors. They're kind of still getting their feet wet, kind of getting used to school, teachers. Like it's their first time in college, like they've had teachers and they look at teachers as the authority, right? That's kind of always the system. But then you get to college, and for freshman year, you basically look at the teachers as authority You're kind of transitioning out of that. And then you start to realize, like, the teachers are like the same people as me, like humans. Like they got their job from doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're closing in and like seeing how you get your job and this person gets his, and they realize like, oh, I graduate and I take that job and then I'd move to this. Right? So it's almost like a humanizing process. How do you feel like when you walk into a room and you meet all like the freshmen or like the sophomores and they're all kind of like sitting there like, you know what I mean? Like it's that first time and like.
I get lots of ma'ams. And,
and may I please? And they're kind of like they're full-grown, almost becoming full-grown adults.
Legally, they're adults.
Legally, they're adults, but man, as I start to get older, 24, turning 25. But as I get older, like that should be out of college, and I look at these kids that are just starting college. They're like 7 years younger than me. Some of them, 6 years. I'm looking at them and I'm like, man, they don't seem like full-grown adults.
They're little tiny babies.
Yeah, they seem like babies now. I know, and some of them in the same class as me because I'm so far behind like calc in some physics classes. Yeah, so like I'm ready to graduate if I get these classes out the way.
Yeah.
But it's just funny to see, and like I don't know, how do you normally deal with that? Do you like walk in just what you were talking about earlier, just the social piece, like try to get them out of their little bubbles?
Well, I want them to be comfortable in my class. So if they view me as this authoritarian figure, then they're not going to be comfortable, because if they view me like that, then I make the rules and that can really harm them, right? I do make the rules, but if they view me as only the rule maker,
right,
that's bad, because that puts me on this pedestal that really limits my availability to them. And I know that a lot of students don't come to my office hours because they're scared of the instructor.
That happens so much.
Right. They're just like, oh.
People are nervous. They're scared. I think I've been like that before.
With me?
No, not with you. Went freshman year. It's like, that's where I get it from, the freshman year thing. You come in as a freshman, you're scared, you don't want to do anything. Another big thing that students do, I've done it before, I probably still do it sometimes. I'm sure you even do it, like in your own relative world. It's you just ignore the problems. Like things are going wrong and you don't want to deal with it, and you're like, that's not happening. Like I'm just gonna wait this one out. It happens with people's grades all the time. I can't tell you how many quizzes I did bad on. Actually, this is a good talking point. Quizzes. Guys, if you're listening, quizzes are like, that is, and I don't know if you guys do this as a department, but if you guys are mandated to give weekly quizzes or bi-weekly, I don't know what it is. My point here is that I think the quiz, this is actually kind of a really obvious point. Quizzes are the number one indicator in my mind, not the test. The quiz is the number one indicator on where you're going to do in the overall class. I think tests, it's weird, but I think tests fluctuate, actually. I think people look at old tests. I think people kind of get their grasp around things last minute, last night, and maybe score a few extra points on those tests. I think quizzes are the ultimate indicator for, like, where you're going to end.
Well, the way I use quizzes, and I usually give weekly quizzes, and I use quizzes as a way to force you to keep up. Like, that's what I view a quiz as. It's a way to force you to keep up with where we are in class, and are you doing your homework test,
Right.
So quizzes are your practice tests, You know, it's like little piece here, little piece here, little piece here. And then after 4 weeks, we put it all together into the big test.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, so to give some relatability points to anyone watching this or like the freshmen or whoever, talk about some things that you like to do outside of like this environment that everyone sees you in, right? So you said earlier you'd like to watch Netflix. Is there anything else?
Oh, yeah.
I remember the semester that you were teaching me, you like went on like some like ultimate awesome cruise and stuff. I remember hearing that and I was like, that's awesome. Like I remember as soon as you said that, people were like, oh, cruise. Like It was like this weird relatable point, and I had never been on a cruise, so I was like, I don't care. But all these other people were like, yeah, I said this and this and this, and I was like, dang.
So I went on a cruise in November, and it was a Kiss cruise. So like the
cruise,
band,
okay. Yeah.
Kiss,
Yeah,
was on the cruise.
Starting to rock in general.
Well, so it really is my husband. So my husband has his own band.
Okay.
He has 2 bands, and I'm a Kiss fan by proxy.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm like a super fan. I'm a mid-level fan.
Did he enjoy it?
My husband is the super fan.
Did he enjoy it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fabulous. But without him, I probably wouldn't have gone on a Kiss cruise. Just be me by myself. Right?
Shout out Krista's husband then, super Kiss fan. That's great. That's awesome.
He actually just went to a Kiss convention this weekend. He got back yesterday.
He's like hardcore then. He loves it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Him and his friend drove to Atlanta to go to the Kiss convention, and just over the weekend. Yeah.
What are you such a fanboy of, like compared to him being a fan of Kiss?
Of Kiss. Oh my gosh.
There's got to be something, you know.
My husband is the most interesting, cool person
Dos
ever.
Equis commercial.
And yeah, he's like the most interesting man in the world. And I have my little pockets of interest, but compared to that, I don't really compare. But I mean, to totally cop out, I am a super fan of math, which is a cop out, I know.
Heavy cop out. I'm judging.
Not only do I have a job, but I love my job and it's my passion. So it's like all of these things are squished into one place, right? Some people have their jobs and they have their passions, and
yours merge.
Mine are in the same spot, which is like, it makes me so happy to come to work, and it makes me so fulfilled every day. It's not just a way to get a paycheck.
Yeah. So what I would say about that is I think it's very apparent. I think it's apparent when someone hits that piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like today, I've talked to like several people over the last week. Hey, do you know Krista? Like, were you in her classes and that? Just asking questions, kind of prodding, you know? Like, did you like her? What did you think and stuff? And just before even asking that, I have heard that's how I got in your class. So many people recommended you and were like, this is like, take her, do this, do that. And like, you don't even have to say anything because I know it's like, yeah, it's like tooting your own horn. But like, I even was talking about you today to one of my friends, and I was like, yeah, so I'm doing a podcast with Krista today. I'm gonna, what do you think a good question to ask her would be, asking and stuff like that. And like 2 people around me were like, Krista, like the math teacher. I was like, yeah, she's awesome. I was like, this is exactly why this is important, because like it triggers something in someone's mind, and I think that's just a great thing. So why, which should have been at the very beginning, but why did you get into math in the first place? I know you said you love math, but like, I just feel like I could hear you. This is so funny. I feel like I could listen to you talk about it in like, oh, it's art, it's this and that all day. Like if I had an audiobook of it, I bet you I would be much better in math. I'd walk around all day just for maybe a business thing in the future here. I
feel so strongly about it. So honestly, I stumbled into math. Like I was a late bloomer with math. I was always good at math, but in college I had these big plans to be a doctor, because that's, when you go into college, you're an engineer, you're
lawyer, doctor, engineer.
Yeah. So I was on the doctor track.
Okay.
And I got my Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and I was taking the MCAT prep courses, and I was miserable. I was like, I hate this.
So you were far into it. You were like ready to, yeah.
I was like getting ready to maybe go into med school if I did well in the MCAT. And I was like, I hate this. I hate it. What am I doing? I can't do this forever. So what did I have to fall back on? A bachelor's in psychology.
Yeah.
There's not much practical you can do with that would get me as far as I wanted to go.
Right. That's a really good way of explaining it.
Yeah. So, because not that any major is bad or whatever, it's just that I wanted more than what a Bachelor of Science in Psychology could give me.
That makes sense.
Okay. So I went back and I was like, okay, I want to keep doing something sciencey. So I decided to major in chemistry. Doing chemistry, I'm taking organic, I'm taking advanced organic, and I hate it. So it's like, okay, what am I going to do? I have tried these things and I'm really far in, and I have almost 2 degrees, and I don't know what I want to do with my life. So my math professor that I had at the time was a grad student, and he he brought me into his office and he was like, "You're really good at this." And he was like, "Have you thought about being a math major?" And I was like, "Nope, not once. Not once have I thought about being a math major." What he said kind of ruminated, and I was like, why not? Let's do it. I don't have any other choices. So I took some lower level, I guess 200, 300 level math classes, and it was just, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Let me ask this. So if you don't mind, I know this isn't politically, I don't even know that, whatever.
Where are we going?
Well, how old were you when you decided like to change routes? Because I think it's a big deal to people. Like a lot of people feel like, I'm already like 6 years into college, school, and I have this degree, and I don't know what to do with this, you know?
Okay, so it took me 4.5 years to get my Bachelor of Science in psychology.
Okay.
So then I went back. After 4.5 years, I went back to undergrad and did another 2.5 years.
So we're at 6.5 years of total school already.
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, math.
No. So 4.5 years for my bachelor's, and then back for chemistry for a year, and then math for a year and a half.
Okay, so we're talking.
So it's like 7
or 8 years, somewhere in that ballpark. Somewhere in the ballpark.
Knee deep.
Yeah, you're
Neck
real
deep.
far.
Neck deep.
Neck deep. You're real far into it. Because I think this is a big thing, because a lot of people think that, man, this is too much, this is too far. And especially with failing classes, you weren't really failing, you're progressing, but are you progressing? You know, you had like wasted years, quote unquote.
Treading water,
right. And I think a lot of people, that happens to them, and then they're like, just continue with whatever I'm doing because I'm already so far in. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's the right mentality. Like for you, you said it wasn't the right mentality, and then you made an adjustment, and now you love it.
I know that me as a person, I have to fill my day with stuff that I'm interested in. Like I can't compartmentalize, this is my job and this is my whatever. Like it all has to flow together. That's just who I am as a person. So I mean, I have a lot of debt. I have a lot of student debt because of it. Like I have a pretty heavy burden of student debt, but to me, what's more important is, can I come to work today, every day, and be excited and feel like little pockets of joy here and there, you know?
Wow. Yeah. No, that's very insightful, because my thing with that, and I'm not old enough to actually even talk to anyone about student debt. Like I have student debt, but I'm not like old enough to really feel what it even weighs on my life, right? I'm not asked to pay it back yet, all these things. So I can't even really speak on that.
I can.
You can. So I'll let you. But I think if I was to guess, and this is what I say on my YouTube channel all the time, so I don't know if it's right or wrong yet, but I say it because I really believe in it. And I say that if you have to take an extra 2 years of school to pass all the classes that you need to pass and do whatever it is you need to do, take that extra math class 2 more times because you admit that you messed up and you know it. Not because you're lazy and you're like, I'm just going to factor in 2 more years, but because you're like, okay, I screwed up. I have to decide, get out of this or continue. If that's really what you want to do, if you really want to become a math teacher or an engineer or whatever it is, doctor or whatever, and you need to take the extra 2 years and you're going to accumulate some debt on it or whatever, I'm not the right person to ask. But my philosophy is you better do it, because if for the next, say the average person graduates at 22, right? You have about 60 more years. I'm so serious. Think about it. You have about 60 more years to say, I either do what I like or I'm still trying to figure it out, you know?
Right. I definitely have some friends, some acquaintances that went down this path because they were like, all right, this is where the money is, right? And they are not happy with their job, right? They're not happy with their job. So because they were just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do because I'm going down this path.
And they don't have any idea what it means or anything at the time, right? They're just like looking at the money and they're like, I think I'd like that, and that's a lot of money. And they don't even know like how much money you need to be happy or how much you need to have a life or a family or whatever. They're just like, there's the money. Like let's go over there.
So at the same time, I feel like it's the person's decision to make themselves. Like some people can, like I said, compartmentalize, this is my job and this is my passion and they're separate and this one funds this and stuff. Like that's how my husband is. Right. He has his job and he has his passions, and they're not related to each other. They don't tie in.
Does he I don't know if we can even say this. Does he dislike his job, or does he like
No.
He's okay with the job, but then he has things he really loves on the side?
No, he does not dislike his job. Right. His job is his job, and he's very, very good at it, and he likes it, but it's not his passion.
Okay, awesome. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. I think a lot of people are in that boat, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just their style, what they prefer.
Yeah. So if you can do that, that's awesome, and you're okay with that. That's fine. But I just knew that I can't do something all day that I don't have the fire for. Like
That makes sense.
I have a fire for math and
Tolerance.
teaching
You
math.
have to be able to handle it whether or not. I love, so like this is another great thing I love about your teaching style. I don't know what the hell it is. A metaphor, an analogy, I don't know what it is, but like just that right there. Like you got to be able to fight the fire. And then in the classroom, you're like, let's get our math utility belts ready. Our come on, help me out. Our Batman, what is it?
So the overused analogy is we're going to dig into our mathematical toolbox, right?
Yeah,
we have our toolbox,
right.
But I think that's lame.
That's
so
lame.
I use our mathematical utility belt
Right,
because
right.
we're Batman.
Our mathematical utility belt because we're Batman.
Because we're Batman.
Put the capes on. Yeah, that's right. You would always, right here, you would draw it in the corner of the board and you'd be like, we have this and we have this and we have this. I swear to God, or whatever, I still do that. I'm like, all right, here we are. So like, I do it for statics. I'm like, I know we have this equation. I know we have this and we have this. I know how to do these things. I'm like, all right, we're good.
It's your utility
I
belt.
swear it was the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're coming to the end here. I have one more good question for you.
Okay.
All right. What would you say to someone who is wanting to get into and to keep pursuing mathematics? So essentially going down the kind of route that you're going down. Like, do you have any words of advice on like things that you should have done or you like that you're doing now, or like, I don't know, like resources, just anything that person who watches you and they go, wow, like she like lives and breathes math and I feel similar. You know what I mean?
So my first response is always to, if the only math classes you've ever taken are calculus classes, you really need to take upper level mathematics courses that are pure math courses, because all calculus is using mathematical topics as applications to real world problems.
Interesting. I'm not even learning math then. I'm learning the application
You're
pieces.
You're learning. Well, there's a reason why it's
We're
called
surface
calculus.
level. Calculus is surface level.
Well, there's a reason why it's called calculus, and that's because calculus is doing calculations.
Oh, no shit. I would
Right.
have never guessed. I didn't think of that.
We're doing calculations that we can apply. Well, because here we're going down math path for a while.
Do it.
So calculus is derivatives and integrals, right?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, right. This is the thing you broke down on the first day.
Yeah, this is my day one soapbox.
Wait, no, say it. Please say it. Do the derivative integral thing. I was trying to think of it earlier, and I couldn't find my notes, and I'm like, I'm going to go feel bad if I like forgot it. But what do you say a derivative is and what do you say integral is? 'Cause I know how to explain it in a roundabout way and show you like a picture, but you describe it in a way that like clicked for me. I wrote it down. I thought I put it in my notes in my phone. I was like, that's beautiful.
See?
I swear to God.
Did you just say math was beautiful?
No, I said that's beautiful. The way you articulated it, like the.
But math is also beautiful.
Yeah.
So calculus is two branches. There's derivatives and there's integrals, and the important part of derivatives and integrals is not can you calculate derivatives, can you calculate integrals. It's what does the derivative measure and what does the integral measure, right?
Right.
So. Now I'm going to quiz you.
Oh, don't do this. Don't do this publicly. Don't do this publicly. I was thinking of it earlier. I know the derivative is everything above the curve and the slope and intelligent tangent line. But the integral is that like everything. It's everything under the curve. But you explain it. It's not everything under the curve. What is it? No, go ahead. This is fair. Everything is fair here.
So I tell my students that what you should take out of Calc 1 and Calc 2 is two sentences.
Okay.
Right? And the first sentence that you take out of Calc 1 is derivatives measure blank.
Oh, no.
Right? So derivatives measure change.
This was it. And you
Slopes,
said this.
Tangent lines,
Okay.
rates of change.
Okay.
And what you take out of Calc 2 is integrals measure blank. Right? Integrals measure accumulation.
That is literally what you said in that moment. Mm-hmm. In that moment of hearing it, I was like, it clicked with me. I swear. And I was like, I went through all of Calc 1 and I didn't know all of Calc 1. I went through every single class and I got a C in it and I worked hard to get the C. And I didn't know that that's what a derivative was.
Well, I mean,
it wasn't put so plain and obviously to me. It was put under that level.
Yeah.
And it was too far for me.
So, I mean, you really have to understand what you're doing in calculus. Like if you just look at calculus as just doing a bunch of calculations, it is a bunch of calculations, but there's a method to the madness, and that is you're doing derivatives so you can measure change in the world. You're doing integrals so you can measure accumulation in the world, because physical things are always flux and changing, right? So if they're changing and they're accumulating, you have to measure that. That's why we have derivatives and integrals. That's my soapbox.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So once again, though, just to wrap it up. So for people who are interested in that stuff and they're like, this is life, and they're like, I do want to test out. Oh, that's right. You did say. You said to make sure. You said to make sure that they go in and like take upper level math courses.
Right, because what we do in calculus is applications of mathematical ideas. So what you do in upper division and higher than 200 level math courses, not counting 251, 261, is you're proving theorems. That's what we do in math, is we take things that we know and we put it together to prove things that we didn't know.
And these are the things where you look at it and there's not a number in the whole thing.
Right. So
and people are like, what is this?
Those books are, when you flip through it, it almost just looks like a novel because it's all words.
Right.
Yeah. So and very little numbers. Not very many numbers are going to show up in your pure math classes.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, Krista, I really, really, really thank you for being on this. I told my friends right away, I was like, this is going to be so funny. I like failed her class and now I'm asking her to be on this. This is going to be hilarious. Like, but this turned out so good. I'm really happy. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
This rubber, I'm going to burn this gasoline and set it on fire, 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 fire. Oh, summer season puts me